The spaceport of the alien world was larger than anything Aaron had ever seen. He had traveled across the stars before, but nothing compared to this place. The landing field stretched out like a sea of silver, with tall spires rising in the distance. The air itself seemed to glow faintly with energy. This was the first human mission allowed to land here, and Aaron had been chosen as one of the trade delegates. He walked behind the senior officers, trying not to stare too much. Everything felt new. The alien guards wore long robes that shimmered under the light. Strange symbols ran across the walls of the arrival hall. A soft hum filled the air, like music played from stone itself. Aaron wanted to memorize every detail, but he kept his head low. He was only an assistant on this mission, not the one who spoke in meetings. Still, fate worked differently that day. The human group entered a large chamber, and that was when Aaron first saw her. She stood among the alien hosts, her figure tall and graceful. Her skin carried a faint glow, and her dark eyes reflected the light of the hall like crystal. She wore a layered dress that looked as though it was woven from threads of light itself. Even among her people she stood out. Her name, he would later learn, was Nira. She belonged to a noble family and had been sent to welcome the humans as a symbol of respect. Nira looked at the humans with sharp eyes. Her people believed humans were rough, unrefined, and too quick with their emotions. She had no desire to waste her time on them. Yet when her gaze passed over Aaron, she noticed how his eyes were wide with wonder. Unlike the officers who kept stiff faces, he looked alive, curious, almost childlike. Aaron felt her eyes on him and quickly looked away. He followed the others, carrying the bag that held the trade reports. He told himself not to stand out. He was not here to impress anyone. But as the human group bowed politely to the alien hosts, his steps faltered. His foot caught the edge of a polished stone tile, and before he knew it, he stumbled forward. The heavy bag slipped from his hand. Papers and devices spilled across the shining floor. The chamber went silent. Aaron flushed red and quickly bent down, gathering everything. He muttered under his breath, embarrassed beyond words. The senior officer gave him a sharp look, but before Aaron could finish, another figure bent down beside him. It was Nira. Her long dress brushed the floor as she knelt gracefully, lifting one of the glowing devices with careful hands. Her face was calm, but her eyes studied him closely. Aaron froze. He had not expected help, especially not from her. Their hands brushed lightly as he reached for the same report. Something slipped out of his mouth before he could stop it. "Thank you, lovely." The word hung in the air like a spark. Aaron's eyes went wide. He realized what he had just said. He wanted to bite his tongue. Why had he said that? He had only meant to say thank you, but his mind had chosen another word, a word that carried warmth. Nira's eyes widened. Her breath caught. The faint glow of her skin deepened into a soft blush. Among her people, open words of affection were rare. To be called such a thing so directly, and by a human no less, was something she had never experienced. Aaron quickly lowered his head. "I am sorry. I misspoke," he said, trying to recover. But Nira did not move away. She held the device in her hand, staring at him. For a moment, her proud face seemed unsure. Then her lips parted, and in a voice so soft only he could hear, she said, "Say it again, human." Aaron blinked. Did she mean it? His heart raced. The officers around them were already moving on, pretending not to notice the scene. He quickly gathered the last of the papers and stood, forcing a small smile. Nira rose as well, still holding his gaze. She did not press him further, but the look in her eyes told him this moment had marked something new. As the humans followed their guides deeper into the city, Aaron kept thinking about what had happened. He had been foolish, but somehow, that single word had reached her in a way he could not understand. And for Nira, the word lovely repeated itself in her mind like a hidden melody. The next morning, the humans were given a tour of the alien capital. The streets were wide and bright, paved with smooth stone that shimmered under the sky's strange light. Towers of crystal rose on both sides, connected by glowing bridges. Aaron walked with the group, carrying the case of reports again, keeping his eyes down. He hoped no one would bring up yesterday's mistake. But someone was waiting. At the end of the wide road, Nira stood near a platform where a transport glider rested. She was dressed in lighter clothing today, but her presence was just as striking. When she saw the humans approach, her gaze slid past the officers and settled directly on Aaron. Aaron's chest tightened. He looked away, pretending to check the case in his hand. But it was no use. Nira stepped forward, her calm voice addressing the group. "I will guide you through the city," she said. "My family has given me this duty." The officers exchanged looks but did not object. A noble guiding them was considered an honor. Soon, the group followed her as she led them toward the transport glider. Aaron kept his distance, staying near the back. He told himself she would not even notice him. But when they entered the glider, Nira's eyes moved across the seats until they landed on him. "You sit here," she said, pointing to the empty seat beside her. Aaron froze. The other humans glanced at him, puzzled. Slowly, he sat down beside her, clutching the case like a shield. He tried to stay quiet, but silence could not last long. Nira spoke softly, her eyes fixed ahead. "Yesterday, you used a word. Tell me. What did it mean?" Aaron's face warmed. He remembered all too well. "It was nothing," he said quickly. "A slip." Her eyes turned toward him, calm but sharp. "It did not sound like nothing. Explain." Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. He wished he had better words. "Lovely is something humans say when we think someone looks beautiful. Or when something feels special. It is a kind word." For a moment Nira was silent. Then she turned her face away, but he saw a faint color rise to her skin again. "Among my people, such words are not spoken lightly," she said. "We do not call others beautiful. We do not use soft names. It is not our way." Aaron nodded, unsure what to say. He thought he had embarrassed her, but to his surprise, she leaned closer and whispered, "When you said it, my heart moved." "Say it again." His mouth went dry. I I cannot. It would not be proper." Her eyes narrowed. "You humans fear words. I thought you were bold." Aaron let out a small laugh, nervous but real. "We are bold sometimes. Just not when we make mistakes." Nira studied him for a long moment. Then, for the first time since they met, her lips curved into the faintest smile. She leaned back in her seat, saying nothing more, but the silence between them felt different now. When the glider reached the central square, the group stepped out. The square was filled with alien citizens, moving gracefully between markets of glowing fruits and shining metals. Aaron walked beside Nira as she explained their culture to the officers. Her voice was steady and formal, but whenever her eyes flicked to Aaron, they softened just slightly. Later, when the group was led to a high tower for rest, Aaron found himself alone on a balcony. He looked out at the shining city, trying to calm his thoughts. He had not expected to draw the attention of someone like Nira. He was just an assistant. He heard footsteps. Nira stepped onto the balcony, her dress catching the soft wind. "You wonder why I speak to you," she said, as if reading his thoughts. Aaron turned. "Yes. I am not important." "Why me?" Nira folded her hands. "Because you are different. The others keep their faces hard. You look with open eyes. You speak with open words. My people fear such things, but I find them curious." Aaron hesitated, then asked, "Is that why you wanted me to say that word again?" Her dark eyes met his. "Yes. No one has ever spoken to me like that. Among my kind, feelings are hidden. Yet when you called me lovely, I felt seen." Aaron swallowed. He did not know what to answer. But he gave a small nod, his voice low. "If it means something good to you, then I am glad I said it." For the first time, Nero laughed, soft and quick, like a sound she was not used to making. "Strange human," she said. "You may not know it, but your words are dangerous. They break walls I did not know I had." The balcony grew quiet. Aaron felt the weight of her gaze, but also a warmth he could not deny. Their bond was only beginning, but already it carried something rare, something that both feared and welcomed at the same time. That night, as the humans rested in their chambers, Nira stood by her window, replaying the word in her mind. "Lovely." She whispered it to herself, as if tasting a hidden treasure. And Aaron, lying awake in his bed, could not stop thinking of how she had smiled for the first time. The next day began with a golden sky. The light on this alien world was not like Earth's sunlight. It spread in soft waves, making the towers glow as if they were alive. Aaron stood on the balcony of the guest tower, watching the strange birds fly across the air. He felt like he was inside a dream. Soon, a soft chime rang at his door. When he opened it, Nira stood there. She wore a simple robe this time, but her presence still carried grace. Her dark eyes studied him. "Walk with me," she said. Aaron blinked. "Me? What about the others? They will attend a council today. You are not needed there. I will show you my city instead." Aaron hesitated. He knew he should probably stay with the human officers, but something in her voice left no room for refusal. He nodded, and together they stepped into the wide streets below. The city was alive with movement. Alien citizens walked gracefully, their robes flowing like water. Floating platforms carried goods from market to market. At the heart of the city stood gardens glowing with blue light, where trees spread branches like crystal arms. Nero led him along paths only locals seemed to know. As they walked, she spoke quietly. "My people follow strict rules. Words of affection, emotions, even laughter, are seen as weakness. You must not speak to others the way you spoke to me." Aaron lowered his head. "I understand. I did not mean to break your customs." Her eyes softened. "Do not mistake me. I am not angry. I only warn you because you are different. If you speak too freely, others may judge you. But I do not wish you to change when you are with me." Aaron looked at her in surprise. She turned her face away, pretending to admire the garden, but he caught the faintest blush again. They stopped before a tall building carved from white stone. Nero led him inside. The hall was filled with murals telling long stories of her people. There were scenes of great battles, victories over rival clans, and cold-faced rulers standing above their subjects. Not once did Aaron see a picture of someone smiling. "Your history is full of pride," Aaron said softly. Nira nodded. "Pride is the core of our strength. But it is also our chain." Her voice carried a hint of sorrow. She pointed to one mural showing a group of young aliens bowing before elders. "From the time we are children, we are taught not to speak what is in our hearts. We obey. We show no weakness. That is why your word struck me so deeply. It broke every law I was taught." Aaron studied her face. He saw how her eyes shone with strength, yet behind them rested a loneliness he had not noticed before. She was surrounded by a great city, yet he felt she carried a cage within her. They moved on, reaching the highest level of the building. From there, the view stretched across the endless horizon. Wind swept past them, carrying the scent of glowing flowers. Nira stood at the edge, her hair lifting in the breeze. "Do you miss your home?" she asked suddenly. Aaron smiled faintly. Every day. On Earth, we speak freely. We laugh, we fight, we dream. We do not always follow rules. It can be messy, but it feels alive. Nira turned to him. Your world must be very different from mine. It is, he said. But your world has beauty too. These gardens, these towers, they are unlike anything I have seen. Her lips curved slightly. And yet, when you look at them, you do not call them lovely. You only gave that word to me. Aaron felt his face warm again. He had no reply. Nira stepped closer, her eyes fixed on his. When you said it, I felt something I cannot explain. My people never give such words. I want to know more. Tell me, Aaron. Why do humans share such names so freely? Does it not weaken you? Aaron shook his head. It does not weaken us. It gives us strength. Words like that remind us we are not alone. When we call someone lovely, or kind, or brave, we make them feel seen. And in return, they give us the courage to keep going. Nero was silent for a long moment. Then she whispered, that is why your kind is dangerous. Not because of your ships or weapons. But because of your words. Aaron frowned. Dangerous? We only mean kindness. To my people, kindness can shatter walls that have stood for centuries, Nira said softly. That is more dangerous than any weapon. The wind swept around them again, carrying her words into the open sky. Aaron studied her face, wondering how someone so strong could also seem so fragile at times. He wanted to comfort her, but he knew words were powerful here. Still, he took a small breath and said gently, lovely does not always mean beauty on the outside. Sometimes it means beauty inside, too. Nira's eyes widened. For a heartbeat she looked as if she might step back, but instead she stood taller, holding his gaze. Her voice was low, almost trembling, but firm. Say it once more, she said. For me alone. Aaron hesitated, then let the word escape. Lovely. This time she did not blush. She smiled, small but real, as though a hidden door inside her had opened. At that moment, Aaron knew their bond had grown into something beyond accident. And Nira, for the first time in her life, began to question if the rules of her world were worth keeping. The city's council chamber was built inside a crystal dome that shone like a star above the capital. Inside, the rulers of Nira's people gathered in tall seats, their faces calm and proud. The humans were called to present their offers of trade, and Aaron entered with the delegation, standing at the edge like a shadow. He carried the case of reports again, but his thoughts were not on trade. His mind kept drifting to Nira's smile the day before. The meeting began with formal words. The senior officer of the human team spoke clearly about alliances, sharing technology, and opening safe routes between their worlds. The alien council listened in silence, their glowing robes catching the light. When he finished, the eldest counselor stood. Humans are known for quick tempers and reckless choices, the counselor said. We cannot allow their ways to disturb the order of our people. Another elder nodded. Their words carry too much emotion. They plant ideas that do not belong here. Aaron shifted uneasily. He understood now why Nira had warned him. Suddenly, a calm voice rose from the side. Not all words are dangerous. It was Nira. She had entered quietly, dressed in her noble robes, her chin lifted with pride. The chamber turned to her. Humans may speak with open hearts, Nira continued, but that is not weakness. It is strength. We cannot ignore their courage. The counselors exchanged sharp looks. One of them leaned forward. Nira, daughter of the House of Lauren, you speak too freely. The humans are strangers. Do not let their simple tongues confuse you. Nira's jaw tightened, but she bowed lightly. I only speak what I see. The meeting moved on, But Aaron felt the tension. He admired Nira's bravery, yet he feared for her. He could see that the council did not like her defense of humans. That evening, when the humans returned to their guest tower, Aaron stepped onto the balcony again. The city lights shimmered below. He heard soft footsteps, and Nira appeared. Her face was calm, but her eyes held a storm. "You should be careful," she said quietly. "The council watches us both. They think you have already influenced me." Aaron frowned. "I never wanted to bring you trouble." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Trouble finds us whether we wish it or not. Today I heard whispers. Some fear that if our people grow close to humans, we will lose what makes us strong." Aaron looked out at the horizon. "But you don't believe that, do you?" She was silent for a long moment. Then she shook her head. "No, I believe your people carry something we have lost. You speak what you feel. You fight not only with weapons but with spirit. I saw it in your eyes when you called me lovely." That single word broke through walls I thought could never fall. Aaron smiled faintly. "Then why fear the council?" "Because pride blinds them," Nira answered. "They will not bend until the world itself forces them." As if on cue, a sudden sound filled the sky. A deep rumble rolled across the city. Aaron looked up to see dark shapes moving beyond the clouds. Small craft darted across the upper air, firing bright streaks of light. "What is that?" Aaron asked. Nira's eyes hardened. "Raiders. An enemy race that circles our borders. They come to test us, to strike fear." Alarms began to echo across the city. Citizens hurried to shelters, while guards rushed to defense towers. The human officers inside the guest hall scrambled, trying to understand the situation. Aaron grabbed Nira's arm. "We should get you to safety." But she shook her head. "No, I must see this." She led him up a staircase to the roof of the tower. From there, they could see bright blasts tearing across the night sky. The raider ships swooped low, but the city's defense shields pushed them back. The battle was short, ending as the raiders fled into the darkness. Still, the warning was clear. Nira's face was set in stone. "They will return. Stronger next time." Aaron felt a chill. "Then your people need allies." "Why won't the council listen?" "Because they fear change more than defeat," Nira said. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was firm. "They would rather stand alone and fall with pride than join hands and survive." Aaron looked at her. He saw courage burning in her eyes, courage that her own people tried to bury. He stepped closer, his voice steady. "Then maybe you are the one who must show them another way." Nira met his gaze. For a moment, the air between them was heavy with unspoken truth. She whispered, "If I try, I will stand alone." "You won't," Aaron said softly. "I'll stand with you." Her lips parted, and for a heartbeat, she let herself believe him. She looked away quickly, but her heart beat faster. No one had ever promised her such a thing. That night, while the city slept uneasy after the raid, two figures stood on a rooftop, staring at the same sky. One was human, carrying words of warmth. The other was alien, carrying the burden of pride. Yet together, they had begun to weave something new, something the council could not control. The raid left the city unsettled. For days, the council strengthened defenses and ordered stricter patrols. Yet deep inside, everyone knew the raiders would return with greater force. The humans offered to share their technology, but the council avoided any firm agreement. Pride and suspicion held them back. Aaron, however, found himself drawn even closer to Nira. She met him often in quiet gardens or on high balconies, away from the eyes of others. Their talks grew longer. Sometimes they spoke about their worlds, sometimes about simple things like food or music. And always, her eyes would soften whenever he smiled. One evening, Nira brought him to the dockyards. Great ships rested there, their silver hulls glowing faintly in the dim light. Engineers worked in silence, their movements sharp and efficient. "Do you see them?" Nira asked. "These are our guardians, yet even they may not be enough. The raiders grow stronger. My people are blind if they think pride alone will save us." Aaron studied the ships. "Our ships fight differently. We mix speed and tricks, not just power. If we work together, we could combine both. Strong shields from your people, fast tactics from mine. It would be enough." Nero looked at him thoughtfully. "You speak like a leader. But you are not even the head of your delegation." Aaron laughed quietly. "No, I'm just the assistant who carries reports. But sometimes the one at the edge sees more clearly than the one at the center." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Strange human. You make me believe things I was told never to believe." Before Aaron could reply, a loud alarm rang out across the dock. One of the smaller ships began to shake, its engines sparking. Workers shouted, running for safety as fire burst from the back of the vessel. Without thinking, Aaron rushed forward. "Aaron, wait." Nira called, but he ignored her. He climbed the ramp, pulling at emergency levers to cut power. Smoke filled the air, and heat burned his arms, but he pushed through. At last, he found the core switch and slammed it down. The engine stuttered and shut off. The fire began to fade. Coughing, Aaron stumbled out of the ship. His face was black with soot, and his uniform was torn. Nira hurried to him, her usual calm shattered. She grabbed his shoulders, her voice shaking. "Are you mad? You could have been burned alive." Aaron tried to smile through his cough. "Someone had to do it. If that ship exploded, it could have taken half the dock with it." Nira stared at him, her hands trembling. No one had ever risked themselves so recklessly for her people. Her kind valued discipline, never impulse. Yet here was a human, bruised and coughing, who had acted without hesitation. She whispered, almost to herself, "This is why your people are different. You fight with your heart before your mind." Aaron wiped the soot from his face. "Maybe. But sometimes that's what saves lives." Word of the incident spread quickly. Some of the council members were angered, saying the human had no right to touch their machines. Others were impressed, whispering that perhaps humans carried a kind of courage worth respecting. That night, Nira stood on the balcony with Aaron once again. The city lights stretched far below, and the wind carried the faint hum of the ships. "You showed them something today," she said softly. "You showed them that humans act even when fear should stop them." Aaron looked at her. "Did it change their minds?" She shook her head. "Not all. But some. A crack has opened in their walls. It may grow." He smiled faintly. "Then maybe there's hope." Nira turned to him, her eyes deep and steady. "Aaron, before tomorrow's council, I need strength." "Say that word again." "The one only you gave me." Aaron's chest tightened. He looked at her glowing face, her proud stance that seemed less heavy now, and he whispered, "Lovely." Nira closed her eyes. A small smile touched her lips, not forced, not hidden. "Your word is more powerful than any weapon. When you speak it, I feel I can face the whole council." Aaron hesitated, then said gently, "You don't need my word to be strong. You already are. But if it helps, I'll say it 1,000 times." Her eyes opened, glistening with something rare for her kind. She stepped closer, her voice low. "Do not stop. Whatever happens, do not leave my side." Aaron nodded. "I won't." The bond between them was no longer a simple mistake of words. It had become trust, built not only on smiles and secret talks but on courage in the face of danger. And as the stars spread across the night sky, Both of them knew the next battle would test that trust more than ever before. The sky over the alien capital darkened with approaching ships. The raiders had returned, and this time, their numbers were larger. From the highest towers, Nira watched them with tense eyes. Her people had prepared shields and weapons, but she knew they could not face this alone. Aaron stood beside her, holding a small control panel that linked to the human delegation's fleet. "We can help," he said. "If we coordinate our ships with yours, we can create a defense strong enough to repel them." Nira nodded. "Then we must convince the council quickly. Every moment counts." The council chamber was in chaos. Advisors shouted, pointing at the radar screens, while soldiers ran to prepare defenses. Nira stepped forward, her face calm but firm. "The humans offer a plan," she said. "If we work together, we can protect our city. Pride alone will not save us. We must act now." Some counselors hesitated, but the elder who had first warned her nodded slightly. "Very well," he said. "If you believe it will work, we will follow your guidance." Nero looked at Aaron and whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." Aaron gave a small smile. "We do this together. I will not let you face it alone." Outside, the raider ships advanced, their weapons glowing ominously. The city's shield hummed as it activated, blocking the first wave of attacks. But the raiders were relentless, circling and firing in a coordinated pattern that tested every defense. Aaron and Nero moved to the control deck of one of the largest human ships. Together, they coordinated human and alien ships, finding weak points in the enemy formations. Aaron shouted commands, while Nero translated them into the alien fleet systems. "Fire at their left flank," Aaron called. The alien ships angled their weapons, and bright beams struck the raiders' side, disabling several ships instantly. "You're brave," Nira said, her voice steady. "Most would not risk themselves so openly in battle." Aaron shrugged. "Bravery is easier when you have someone you trust beside you." Nira's eyes softened. The battle raged around them, but in that moment, she felt a strange calm. As the fight continued, a large raider ship broke through the shield and headed straight for the city's central tower. Nira froze. "That tower cannot fall," she shouted. Aaron immediately guided her to a smaller interceptor ship. "We can stop it together," he said. They climbed aboard, taking the controls side by side. Nira's hands were steady, but her heart raced. Aaron guided them through the chaos of space, dodging enemy fire while calculating the perfect angle to strike. "Ready?" Aaron asked. Nira nodded. "Yes. Let's do this." Together, they fired a coordinated strike, hitting the raider ship's core. The enemy vessel shuddered, then exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Cheers erupted across the fleets. Other raider ships retreated, seeing their leader destroyed. The city's shield remained intact, and the capital was safe. After the battle, Nira and Aaron floated in the control deck, breathing heavily. The city below sparkled like a jewel, untouched and proud. "You were incredible," Nira said quietly. "I have never seen anyone fight with such courage." Aaron smiled faintly. "Neither had I. Until I saw you face the council and lead your fleet. You were amazing." Nira's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "We did it together." Aaron looked at her, remembering the first time he had called her lovely. "You know," he said softly, "I think that word helped. It reminded both of us what we were fighting for." Nira's eyes met his. "Perhaps. Words have power, as well as action. Today proved it." The human delegation and the alien council met afterward. Though pride still lingered among some counselors, respect had grown. They had seen humans and aliens fight side by side, trust each other, and protect the city. Later, on the balcony of the command tower, Nira and Aaron watched the sunset. The raider threat had passed for now, but the bond between them had grown stronger than any shield. "You stayed by my side," Nira said. "Even when others doubted you." Aaron shrugged, smiling. "Because I trust you. And because I want to be here, with you." Nira's heart beat faster. For the first time, she did not hide her feelings. "Then say it again," she whispered. Aaron nodded. "Lovely." Nira laughed, a sound soft and full of joy. "Your word carries more than meaning. It carries courage. And now, I feel ready for anything." Together, they looked out at the city, the fleets, and the horizon beyond. They had won the battle, but more importantly, they had won trust, courage, and a friendship that could change the future of two worlds. The sky was calm the morning after the battle. The city glowed in soft colors, untouched and proud. Citizens slowly returned to their daily lives, moving among the markets and gardens with quiet relief. The raiders had vanished, and the council realized that the humans' help had been invaluable. Pride still lingered, but respect had grown, slowly and carefully. Aaron walked through the streets with Nira at his side. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of glowing flowers from the gardens. Citizens watched them as they passed, whispering, but no one dared to interrupt. The sight of a human and a noble alien together had become a symbol proof that cooperation could achieve what pride alone never could. Nira glanced at him, her eyes reflecting the city lights. "The council is more willing to listen now," she said. "Some even speak of forming a new alliance with your people." Aaron smiled. "That is good news. But what about you?" Her lips curved into a small, thoughtful smile. "I have changed. I cannot return to the rules I once followed blindly. I see now that strength comes not only from pride but from trust and courage. From words as well as actions." Aaron remembered the first time he had called her lovely. That single word had unlocked a part of her heart she had never shown to anyone. "Then you have learned well," he said gently. She laughed softly. "And you have taught me more than you realize. I have learned that humans can be bold not only in battle but in kindness. And that kindness can inspire more than fear ever could." They reached the balcony of the tallest tower, looking out across the capital. Ships from both their fleets moved in organized paths, practicing maneuvers and exchanging signals. The city had survived, and a new hope glimmered on the horizon. Nira turned to Aaron. "I owe you more than words can say. You showed me what it means to trust someone completely. Even when others doubt, even when the council disagreed, you stood beside me." Aaron's heart tightened. "I would do it again without hesitation." "Because you are worth it? You always were." Nira's cheeks colored faintly, and she looked away, but her smile stayed. "Then, you may say it once more," she whispered. Aaron's lips curved into a soft smile. "Lovely," he said clearly, softly, but filled with warmth. This time, Nira laughed freely, a sound full of joy and life. She reached for his hand, holding it in a gesture both bold and tender. "That word," she said, "is more than a word now. It is a promise. A promise that I will remember courage, trust, and friendship, no matter what comes." Aaron squeezed her hand gently. "And I promise to be here, beside you, for every step of the way." The council met later that day to finalize agreements with the humans. Some members still struggled to accept the idea of trust beyond pride, but others were eager to see the benefits. Nira's voice carried authority now, strengthened by her actions and the respect she had earned. After the meeting, she and Aaron walked through the gardens again. Soft light from glowing trees bathed them in warmth. Citizens passed by, watching, some nodding quietly in approval. The bond between a human and an alien noble had become a quiet legend, a symbol that even in worlds of strict rules, friendship and trust could flourish. Nira paused by a fountain that reflected the towers above. She looked at Aaron and spoke with certainty. "We have survived the battle, but what we have built together, is stronger than any weapon or shield. It is a bridge between our people. Aaron nodded. And bridges can last longer than walls. Even if storms come, they can be rebuilt and strengthened. She smiled, a warm, full smile that reached her eyes. Then let us build it together. As the sun set, spreading gold and purple across the sky, they stood side by side, looking out over the city and the fleets. The battle was over, but the story of trust, courage, and friendship had only just begun. Nero whispered one last time, her voice soft but firm. Say it, Aaron. For the promise of what comes next. Aaron looked at her, his heart full, and said with certainty, lovely. She laughed, the sound free and joyful, and for the first time, Aaron knew that a single word could change not only hearts but entire worlds. Together, human and alien, they had shown that courage, kindness, and trust were stronger than pride alone. The city glowed, peaceful and bright. The horizon promised new beginnings. And in that light, two friends stood side by side, ready to face whatever the universe would bring.